Hello, everybody. Right now, I'd like to talk to you about Palestine. This is part of a two-part series, a case for Palestine statehood and a case against Palestine statehood. This video, I'm going to be talking to you about the case against Palestinian statehood, and I'd like to know what you think in the comments. Please tell me what you think. All right, so the case against Palestinian statehood. Palestine is basically, even before the war, was so economically depressed, and it was ran by reactionaries. It was ran by Hamas in Gaza, and it's ran by Fatah in West Bank. Fatah's a little bit different because they did sign a deal with Israel about 10 years ago, so they do kind of let their government, which is semi-separate, govern a little bit, but also not really. So they do have a democratically elected government in West Bank, but all the reactionary groups, including Fatah, will kill you if you step out of line with them, and they are bad people. So if you go ahead and give direct government control to both of these areas, of course, Hamas and Fatah and all the other little terrorist, drug dealers, gangs, and other forms of non-state actors, and they have pretty much all of them in that area, are going to become official. They're going to be government officials, and they will merge with that government, and they will become an authoritarian government with a genocidal ideology that has a literal statehood. And it's going to be easier for hardliners all across the Middle East, or anybody who's adversarial with Israel in the West, to fund them. So that's kind of a bad thing. Now let's go ahead and take back to Gaza, because there's been a war going on there, and that's triggering a lot of people. And Israel has definitely lost the information war, and they're not prosecuting this war with professional standards. So unfortunately for them, they're viewed as the bad guys in this situation. Now, I don't really have too much sympathy for the government as Israel as a whole, because when you're not letting aid in, which is a violation of the Geneva Convention, and you're literally shooting innocent people that are trying to get that aid, that doesn't really make you look good. And as far as American progressives are concerned, while we're trying to fight off an authoritarian takeover, AIPAC, which is a government organization on Israel, is funding the fascists. So as much as I do personally, this is my personal opinion, as much as I do want the people of Israel to be okay, not at the expense of my freedom, though. If that makes me selfish, I'm okay with that. If that country is going to keep funding people like Donald Trump while he's sick in the military around there, crashing the economy, and you're just going to keep on doing this? I mean, why would the American people care about your liberty, your freedom? And at this point, a lot don't. My prediction for that is down the road, maybe Republicans get in and they can get some concessions from them, and when liberals get in, they won't. But let's digress. Back to Palestinian statehood. So a lot of the Palestinians, a lot of the hardliners, and a lot of the Hamas operatives that went off and committed that terrorist attack that involved assaults and kidnappings, they were able to get that, and they were able to actually map out the weak points by a lot of Palestinian migrant workers that were working on farms, and they were working in construction companies just on the other side of the fence, which is an indicator of this pretty simply. Palestinian people, of course, unfortunately, are very radicalized, and they have a lot of authoritarians there, and a lot of people that are sympathizing with a lot of the nine-state actors in that area. So unfortunately, a lot of people that are liberal have this little idea that, well, if Israel's just going to stop bombing them, they're going to become this social democratic civil rights, voting rights utopia overnight, when it's not going to happen that way at all. If Israel were to end this war, the non-state actors like Hamas, led by Hamas and Fatah, but more Hamas because the wars in Gaza, are going to go right back to radicalizing children. They're going to teach them how to use weapons in schools. They're going to definitely try to radicalize them in a way where they become reactionary little foot soldiers, or at least supporters when they're older, and they have been doing this my entire life. And it's just going to basically give a bunch of idiots money and weapons. More money and more power. Now, because of all these challenges, Israel just keeps Palestine as an open-air prison, which I think is a really stupid move. All it does is guarantees a war every 5 to 15 years. But if you really look at the challenges that they're going through, got to put yourself in their position and see what you can do. If you try to subsidize the Palestinians, the terrorists will take the money. A lot of the aid that's going in goes right back to Hamas anyway. There's about 450 miles worth of tunnels under Gaza, and Gaza's only about the size of Detroit. And we've only discovered, when I say we, Western forces only discovered about 10% of them, and that's just an estimate anyway. So here to summarize. The case against Palestinian statehood is because there's already a bunch of authoritarians with genocidal ideology in the Middle East. We don't really need another one. And they're not going to just all of a sudden grow up and become a democratic, social democratic utopia whatsoever. It's just going to be another authoritarian, evil place. And it's really sad. So tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think we should become, or do you think the United States should push one way or the other? Let me know. And make sure you watch the other video, because the challenges on this subject is really easy to kind of brush off when we're all the way on the other side of the Atlantic. But when you're right there in the Middle East and these people are your problem directly, you have to make a decision, and the wrong one gets your neighbors killed.